Cal CJ kind of interrupted after Wheeler talked about, embracing a role and just really praised him for that and the way he comes to work every day. And Jacob has talked about going through something and coming out on the other side. A bunch of your guys have had that. You guys have had it collectively. Is there
Well, it's been an avalanche. You got teams losing games around the country, and the only one that's really the focal point seems to be that we're awful and dying. And I like this team. I mean, I'm saying it. I told you before. We just had to get on the same page. Let me tell you what's a natural progression from a basketball team when you bring new guys together. A natural progression is they worry about themselves first, because they're trying to establish who they are, which means you're thinking more inward, so you're not doing the team outward stuff you need to do. We couldn't even do a scouting report early. We couldn't, because everybody was worried about themselves. It's natural. I'm not downing anybody. It is a natural progression, you ready, at every level. Not just here at Kentucky, but when you got new guys. Now, if the same team's been together 3 years, totally different. So that part of it, CJ being out was another part of it. You see what he does for our team. He was hurt. But I'm proud of Jacob, Sahvir, and other guys, because I told them, my legacy will be what they do and what they overcome. That's my legacy, not all this other records and all the other stuff. Stop. It is, how do the guys that I'm coaching, what do they overcome and respond to, and how does it help them the rest of their lives? Being in Kentucky, really hard being here. You struggle, it's an avalanche. It is. And it's personal and it's nasty. It's okay, because the other side of it is there's no better place to go if you want to build yourself, get yourself mentally tough and strong, and present yourself on the biggest stage, which is Kentucky basketball. But the other side, it's hard. It's a tough, difficult road. But I'm so proud of them. I kissed Sahvir. I got sweat all over my face. I had to get a towel. I kissed him. I said, I'm about ready to cry. I know what he's been through. You don't. Some people out there that threw stuff at this kid, you don't know what it does. And I always come back to this. If it were your son, how would you want him to be treated? If it were your son, how would you want him to be treated? And so, this is part of the growing process. Hey, this could flip on us, but the biggest thing with us is making shots. I'm not saying tough shots. I'm saying open shots. You make open shots, we're going to be pretty good. But you can't go and start the game 0 for 12. We've done that. Now we're starting, like Antonio walked right in the game, bang, made it. He's on a different level from where he's been. Jacob, different level. I had talked for 2 days about we got to rush the ball up the court. We start the game walking it up the court. I had to put Sahvir in. I said, you got one job, get this going. And the game changed the minute he walked in. And then Kaysen got to see it, and he did it. Now all of a sudden the ball's whipping around. We're not early on, beginning of the year. Everybody got it. I got to establish myself. Before they pass, they bounce it, dance with it, and then pass. And he do the same, and he do the same. We're all losing our minds. Now you seeing they're worried about one thing, our team. I know what my job is in my role. And I'm going to do it and be an all-star in my role. So I should have answered every question that you guys have with that right there.
What was it that led to that connectivity? Because it seems like it clicks.
Crisis brings about change. A crisis. What was the crisis?
South Carolina?
Yeah. Now, we had 2 starters out. You guys all wrote about that, right? They had 2 starters out. And you did, right? You talked about 2 starters out. But we did. But it brought about a change in a crisis, and that's where their meeting came in. I wasn't in the meeting. A couple staff members were in there. But my staff said it made me emotional because everybody admitted things that they need to admit, and they did. And now, like I said, it's the only thing that brings about change is a crisis. And a crisis in this sport is you lose.
John, you talked about these guys being your kids. You knew what was being hurled at Sahvir. How hard was it kind of keep your cool and not lash out?
It was hard. It was really hard because I wanted to do some stuff, and I thought, I'm not going to give people an opportunity to say I'm blaming anybody. I never blame anybody, and I love our fans. The fans that are really into basketball, I love our fans. Now, the social media, you got trolls. You got people from other programs. Or they're just not basketball fans. Or they're not fans of mine, and they go crazy. That doesn't bother me. It's just that I keep looking, and I'll say it again, if it were my son, what would I do? How mad would I be? And then it just wasn't the right time to do anything. I needed him to do what he did. So everybody respects who he is as a player and respects that he's taken on another role and he's being an all-star at that. It didn't change anything about his game. He gets to watch the game for a few minutes before he steps in.
How hard is that for someone who's used to starting all the time to have to reinvent?
You have to
their
ask
role?
him. You have to ask him.
Did he bring just an extra level of physicality? It seemed like early on.
Who?
Sahvir. What was the key there? I mean, for him to get into the game and bring that extra level of physicality, kind of
It's how he plays. It's how he plays. He a lot of things piled up, and there was a lot of garbage out there that he told me he didn't read. And I tell them, they may not be people that even like our program. Why would you read that stuff? I don't. Oh, you're reading it. And so hopefully he's learned that from this. And he also learned how that team in there loves him. And how his coach is both feet in till the wheels fall off for him. Now, you may have to come off the bench. But so what? Doesn't mean I don't love you. I'm not for you. I won't be there for the rest of your life as long as I'm living. But someone's playing better, so they got to be in. That's team. Then you accept it and say, I'm ready. What's my role? I'm going to do this.
When you said that about the team, was there a moment in there in the locker room? I mean,
What's that?
Was there a moment with the team and Sahvir in the locker room? I mean, were they celebrating him or just
We
in
talked.
general?
I talked about it, and I talked about Jacob, and you know, what makes me proud is when I see guys overcome stuff like that. You know, like I said, I'm at my age. I've taken more bazooka shots than anybody in this profession maybe ever, and I'm still standing. And what I usually say, I just got to outlive them.
John, how big has Antonio been in this stretch?
Oh, he's been good. Very confident, playing better defensively, rebounding balls, mixing it up. And he's not just worried about offense, he's worried about playing. But I put him in a high pick and roll late in that first half. Bang. I mean, those were all big plays to get out of there and have a lead at halftime like that. This team, I saw him play Tennessee. You could say, well, the big guy was out. I saw him play Georgia, and they beat Georgia. Alabama, they had, without the big guy, it was a 6-point game with a minute to go. Alabama, who's beaten everybody by 100. So I'm proud of what we were able to do. That team, no one wants to play them. I'm just telling you, because they run good stuff and they can shoot. Our whole thing was tough twos. Let's take out threes. They can't make enough twos to beat us. Well, except when they shoot all layups. And I said, I didn't say layup twos. I said tough twos. And so I thought in the second half we did better.
What do you feel like you guys still need to get better at ahead of big one Saturday at Kansas? It's going to be a racket.
Yeah, it's another game. They're really good. Top 10 team coming into Rupp. Yeah, Bill's a good friend. They're good. Now, hopefully, we're playing at our best, too. Thanks, guys.
Turn it up. Turn it up, Dad.
Go ahead.
For either of you guys, what do you think has sort of ignited the change in this team over the last 4 games now?
You know, I just think we're really connected right now as a team. You know, everyone's understanding their role, and You know, in practice, we've been just so big on winning each day, and I think that's what we've been doing is just, you know, locking in on every day and winning every day, and it's starting to be a continuous pattern for us. So I think a lot of it is just locking into every single day and committing to each other, committing to individuals and the team on winning each day and getting better each day, and just focusing on, you know, getting better each day, not the scoreboard, not the result, just committing to each day.
Was it that South Carolina loss that you think led to that, I guess, forced connectivity, or I guess where did that connectivity come from? It seemed like it kind of came all of a sudden.
I think that's part of it, but also I think just the road win at Tennessee, I think it was kind of like one of the catalysts of change as far as like knowing that if we connect and pay attention to detail, that we can win some games no matter where we're at on the road or at home. And from then on, we've been that routine, you know, that attention to detail is something that we've stuck to, and it's allowed us to have some success.
How have you stayed focused personally, though? Obviously missed the Tennessee game, didn't play a whole lot in the second half of the last two, and then again major minutes tonight.
I mean, that's part of it. You know, when those guys, you know, who've been playing the past couple games are guys who've been winning games. That's the group who went down to Tennessee and popped Tennessee. So at the end of the day, we're at Kentucky, and I'm playing with some really good players, and sometimes that's okay. And you know, you gotta learn to live with that and learn to grow from it and be mature about it, because those guys deserve to play as much as anybody else. Those guys were fighting in practice, working their tails off, paying attention to detail, and they deserve that. And so riding with that, it got us 3 wins in a row. And today it was just, you know, my turn, my opportunity to kind of give us some energy. And I did that, but we got to give all the credit to these guys because they're the ones who were in there when I wasn't available. And then continue with that, and now we look pretty good.
I'd like to comment on that real quick. Sahvir was great tonight. And he comes in every single day with a leadership mentality, and he's been ready to go, and he was ready tonight, and he's going to continue to do that. You know, he's our guy. You know, we have tremendous faith in Sahvir, and that's just the kind of guy he is. Every day he brings it. You know, he's been great in practice. Today he was the reason that we got up so big, and transition, he was that ignited that we needed today.
Along those lines, it seems like Cal was really dialed in on when you're in there, just fly. I mean, you got in there and it was like every miss was push it up the floor. How much has that sort of been crystallized that the weapon you are is to, you know, attack people that way?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing was just getting us to realize, like, if y'all run, you're going to get the ball. So we were emphasizing that in practice, but also emphasizing, when we don't have it, let's do what we do. Let's screen for each other. Let's get each other open, and let's share the ball. And with this team, we know it's early that we had an advantage with just running and getting it out and converting at the rim, because I think we were 7 for 8 of our first 8 rim shots at the rim. That's constantly putting pressure on the rim, and by doing that, it's passing it ahead, getting stops defensively, and that's what we did.
So when you talk about attention to detail, what are some specifics? What are some things where you guys are doing better in that area than you did before?
Yeah, just being more locked into what the scout is. But giving specifics, that's our secret to what we're doing in order to win some games. So I'm not going to give that away. I'm not going to give that away. But just being more attentive to scout and being more locked in with each other, holding each other accountable, talking to each other on both ends of the court, offensively and defensively. And just being assignment sound. That's one of Coach Chin's favorite vocabulary words, assignment sound, and that's what we're trying to stick to. And we've been doing it so far.
And Sahvir, what was it like to get some extended run alongside CJ and Antonio Reeves?
I mean, we've been playing with each other since this summer, so it's not like it was a first-time thing. We played pickup together, we played in practice together. But, with those guys out there, so much space, so much you can do. And everyone's pretty versatile. You've seen some times where they had the ball, they were making plays, and I was off the ball, screening for them, moving, getting rid of it, and getting these guys opportunities because they're hell of a playmakers themselves.
CJ, you mentioned the guy next to you. Jacob has talked openly about going through some stuff, and he's playing with a ton of energy and doubles left and right now. You and Antonio have had to kind of get your confidence shooting the ball. Does this feel like as a group, because so many different guys have kind of gone through one thing or another, and you're on the other side of it now, that there's maybe some bonding in that as well?
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, everyone's starting to figure out, what they do, and they're starting their role. We're not trying to do things that we can't do, and we're starting to realize that each and every single one of us brings something different to the game, and we're all coming together in that aspect and playing off each other, and just having a lot of fun with each other.
CJ, there was a minute and a half stretch there in the second half where you had an open three, you passed it up, had the alley-oop, Jacob Hoffman. A minute later, you ended up hitting the jumper, and then follow position after that, you again had an alley-oop. This one was San Antonio. How comfortable do you feel right now with the ball in your hands, knowing, hey, these are times I need to be shooting, and these are the times I need to find an open teammate?
Yeah, you know, the game is just slowing down for me. I'm taking whatever the defense gives me right now. You know, there were a couple times I thought, you know, I was open to shoot it, but before the ball was even to me, you know, I saw Jacob down low, and I knew we had it easy too, so I was just going to take that one. And then I drove kind of to the middle, and I saw Tone going back door, and I knew his man was staring right at me, so just taking whatever the defense was going to give me, and they were easy too, so you got to take them.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.